You know that moment when you're feeling utterly useless? Like, wow, I'm good for absolutely nothing, a total waste of space. Well, that's when I think of HIRUZEN Sarutobi and go, hold up, at least I'm not that guy. Seriously, what was that Hokage? The man had everything. Everything. To be a legend, a leader etched into ninja history forever, and yet he turned every single opportunity into a disaster so massive it's almost comical. Have you ever stopped to consider just how much he screwed over Konoha? They called him the Professor of all ninjas. This grand title they shove in your face like it's proof of greatness. But let's be real, it's just a shiny badge to cover up his chronic incompetence, his shameless cowardice, and his downright stupidity. Let's break this down, because HIRUZEN deserves to be roasted for every pathetic detail of his so-called leadership, and I'm not letting a single flaw slide. First off, Orochimaru. Man, HIRUZEN created that monster with his own hands. Orochimaru was his star pupil, the golden boy, the genius he couldn't stop praising. And what did he do when he found out the guy was running sick experiments, messing with human bodies, testing forbidden jutsu on living people? Nothing! Not a damn thing! He just sat there with that goofy grandpa face, puffing on his pipe, going, "Oh, Orochimaru, my dear boy, you're a genius. I'll give you a little slap on the wrist and let you slink away to keep your crazy going." The result? Orochimaru became one of Konoha's biggest nightmares, killed who knows how many people, cooked up twisted techniques that defy nature, and years later came back to kick HIRUZEN square in the face, invading the village, killing. If the old man had a shred of guts, a flicker of foresight, and nipped that evil in the bud right from the start, Konoha could have been spared decades of pain, attacks, and death. But no, he went with the ignore it and hope it goes away approach, and the whole village paid the price for that criminal laziness. And don't even try that excuse that he was too busy as Hokage to deal with Orochimaru. Busy with what, huh? Puffing on that stinky pipe all day and spying on the village through his crystal ball like some cheap peeping Tom? Because honestly, the guy couldn't make a solid decision even if his life depended on it. Take Danzu for instance. HIRUZEN let that scheming rat run wild, doing whatever he pleased in the shadows, acting like he owned Konoha. Danzu set up the Root, a secret squad that murdered anyone who got in his way, extorted allies, twisted intel, sowed chaos, and HIRUZEN knew about it. He knew and did nothing. Oh, Danzu's my childhood buddy. I'll let him play dictator for a bit, no big deal. Childhood buddy, my ass! Danzu was a malignant tumor eating away at the village, a parasite draining Konoha's life. And HIRUZEN was the doctor who looked at it, scratched his beard and said, "Hey, it's fine, let it grow. Maybe it'll sort itself out." Who suffered? The loyal ninjas, the regular folks, everyone who trusted the Hokage to keep things together while he sat there, posing as some wise old sage. And some people have the nerve to say he faced Orochimaru in the end, that he sacrificed himself to seal the guy's hands. Faced him. That's a bad joke, right? That was the most pathetic too little, too late in ninja history. A total clown show that just proves how useless he was. Orochimaru had already stormed Konoha with an army, slaughtered a bunch of loyal shinobi, smashed buildings to bits, brought back the first and second Hokages to humiliate HIRUZEN in front of everyone. And the old man still hesitated in the fight. "Oh, Orochimaru, you were my student. I don't really want to hurt you. Let's talk this out." Dude, the guy is trying to wipe you off the planet, spitting in your face, and torching the village you swore to protect with your life. Wake the hell up. And that so-called sacrifice? He used the Shiki Fujin to seal Orochimaru's hands, but he couldn't even do that right. Orochimaru lived, swapped bodies like it was nothing, and kept terrorizing the ninja world like the fight never happened. Meanwhile, HIRUZEN croaked, left the village in ruins, a complete mess, and dumped. The cleanup on Tsunade. That's not heroism. It's a sad, sloppy attempt to save face after a lifetime of screwing up royally. Now, let's talk about the Uchiha clan, because this is the pinnacle of his incompetence. The moment HIRUZEN showed the world what a spineless, worthless leader he really was. Some folks think he tried to stop the massacre. Tried to stop it? He caused, plain and simple. The guy's the king of indecision, a pro at kicking problems down the road until they blow up in everyone's face. The Uchiha were planning a coup. Sure, but why? Because the village, under Hiruzen's watch, treated them like second-class trash, like garbage to be kept at arm's length. After the Ninetales attack, he let Danzu and the other elders pin the blame on the Uchiha with zero evidence. No investigation, no fairness. Just shoved them into a ghetto on the edge of the village like they were a walking threat. And then sat back as the tension built up, year after year, decade after decade. When Itachi came up with the insane idea to slaughter them all to fix it, Hiruzen said, yes. Man, he could have negotiated with the Uchiha, put Danzu in his place, shown some real leadership, used his authority to calm things down. But no. He washed his hands of it, sat on his ass, and let a 13-year-old kid shoulder the burden of a genocide, a trauma no one should ever have to bear. What kind of Hokage does that? A coward, a weakling who runs from responsibility and lets others pay for his mistakes. And don't you dare tell me he was strong, that he knew every jutsu in Konoha, that he was some legendary ninja. Strong? Maybe in his prime, sure, but by the time we see Hiruzen in action, he's old, worn out, a pitiful shell of whatever he once was. In that fight with Orochimaru, he could barely keep up, stumbling over his own feet, wheezing, slow as a damn turtle. The first and second Hokages, brought back by Edo Tensei, were mocking him the whole time, laughing in his face. He was a relic, a has-been, relying more on nostalgia than any real skill. And here's the kicker. He stayed Hokage way too long, way past his expiration date. After Minato died, Hiruzen crawled back into the role and clung to it, like it was his lifeline. Like letting go would mean admitting he had nothing left to give. Why didn't he train a proper successor? Why didn't he hand over the reins before he turned into a useless old geezer who could barely hold a kunai without shaking? He just sat there, taking up space, filling the office with pipe smoke, while the village needed fresh blood, someone with the energy and vision to tackle the threats he kept ignoring. In the end, he left Konoha exposed, all because of his stubborn grip on power. And some people claim the village thrived under him before it all fell apart. Thrived? That's a bedtime story for kids, a pretty lie they tell to puff up his ego. The peace he kept was a cheap illusion, a flimsy mask hiding the chaos brewing, right under his nose. While he was playing wise man, puffing on his pipe and spouting pretty words about unity and harmony, the other Kages were arming their villages to the teeth, gearing up for war. Orochimaru was scheming in the shadows, building his reign of terror. Danzu was plotting inside Konoha itself, stabbing the village in the back, and the Uchiha were simmering in quiet rebellion, choked by injustice. He was a master at pretending. Everything was fine, ignoring problems until they blew up in his face. And look at the legacy he left. Naruto, the son of the fourth Hokage, one of the village's greatest heroes, grew up an orphan, beaten down by life, bullied, treated like a monster because of the Ninetales, all because Hiruzen couldn't protect him properly. He let the kid get humiliated by the whole village, while he, the mighty Hokage, sat cozy in his office, staring out the window and puffing on that stupid pipe. What kind of leadership is that? What kind of protection? None. Zero. A big, fat nothing. And don't even try saying he was kind, that he had a good heart, that he was a gentle leader. Kind? Kindness without action is just weakness dressed up as a virtue, a flaw pretending to be a strength. He was kind to Orochimaru and let him turn into a murdering psychopath who killed thousands. He was kind to Danzo and let him betray Konoha from the inside, tearing apart everything it stood for. He was kind to Naruto and let the kid suffer bullying, loneliness, and rejection his whole childhood, without lifting a finger. Hiruzen was a sentimental old fool, a nostalgic idiot who thought being nice was the same as being fair or capable. He had the power to change things, to bring order to the chaos, to actually protect the village. But he'd rather stay in his comfort zone, dawdling with that smelly pipe, making wise faces, and leaving everyone else to clean up the messes he made, piled up and ignored. In the end, the third Hokage is the ultimate proof of how a weak, indecisive, cowardly, and dumb leader can ruin everything, even with all the tools, all the knowledge, all the respect to come out on top. Useless doesn't even cut it. Pathetic, maybe. Disastrous, definitely. When I feel useless, I'll think of Hiruzen Sarutobi and say, okay, at least I'm not that historic failure, that walking mistake who tarnished the Hokage name. And I'm not even a ninja, let alone the leader of a whole damn village.